over in Northwestern, they have been heavily engaged in the kind of headlines you do not want to make. Pat Fitzgerald, one of the fixtures among Big Ten coaches, in that if you picked a guy that, okay, he's not going to get fired at any point, it would be Pat Fitzgerald. Why? Very prominent player for them back in the 1990s. A guy that is Wildcats football. A guy that really took Northwestern to the point of being able to compete in the Big Ten and be right up there, get a share of that championship. It's almost unthinkable that he would be the guy that gets fired from Northwestern. But as we see these hazing charges and accusations come out, first it was that Pat Fitzgerald was only going to be suspended for 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden we get the big turnaround and he's gone. Talk about that situation as you've seen it develop and your thoughts about it.
Three of us, we got a little texting going, you, me, and Ballas. And then, we went back and forth, and then Ballas comes up with a Harbaughism, there are no sacred cows, right? I mean, doesn't that say it all? Because you said it, everything about Pat Fitzgerald was correct. I mean, when I think of Northwestern, I don't think of Alex Agassi. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or Randy Walker. You think of Pat Fitzgerald, you think of that 95 team, and you think of the 17 years of what he's done. Now, granted, it's like we kind of accepted Northwestern. Yeah, I mean, he's won 5 bowl games, heck, a lot more than Harbaugh has recently. And he's been to two Big Ten. He's won two Big Ten berths, I think. But the thing about Pat Fitzgerald is this, and this just goes to show about anything. If with this particular situation, with this alleged hazing situation, when you got 11 players coming out now, it's and the details are disturbing, to be quite honest with you. If Pat Fitzgerald didn't know about it, he failed at his job, and if he did know about it, he shouldn't be in the job of responsibility, right? And I mean, he could be up for a civil suit. And then I say that, yet in contrast, now he's hired a high-powered lawyer and he's suing Northwestern, so it's going to get ugly real quick. It's unfortunate in so many ways. I mean, because when I think of Pat Fitzgerald, I go to media. You go to media days, and I talk to all the coaches. I just don't focus on Michigan and their scrum. Scrum media groups and things like that we go through. I move around, and you do too. I know you do. But Fitz is one who, when he talks to you, he really engages with you, and he's just such a likable guy. I feel horrible for it. I feel bad for the kids that are there. I mean, my God, there's going to be 25, 30 transfer portal kids fleeing out of there. I don't know what's going to happen. We're sitting here, July the 11th, or whatever it is, and camp opens August 1st. I mean, the portal's still open. That's almost probably a negative thing. So they can flee. And who are you going to get to coach this team? Because, and God forbid it's Sherrone Moore, because I want him to stay at Michigan, but also it's not the timing to be successful. No. It's just a bad timing, bad situation. Here they have this multi-million-dollar boutique stadium renovation where they're going to shrink it to 35,000, make it this incredible fan experience in Evanston, to keep the number of opposing fans out of there, and make it a more workable size stadium for this small university with a small student body. And you got all this donor money about ready to pour in, and all these board meetings come up for approval, and then this happens. Yeah. This is a bad time for Northwestern University. There's no question about it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Dave Mays obviously looking in with you, praying Northwestern doesn't hire Sherrone Moore. I mean, on the one hand, Sherrone is in a position where he is going to be the sole offensive coordinator for Michigan, in a very good position. Loves these guys. Has done a great job. He will be a head coach someday. On the other hand, I mean, if you had a chance to become instant multimillionaire and have a Big Ten program, that's no small thing.
Yeah.
So we will, I mean, certainly watch that as it develops. But I'll tell you what, if you're any sort of a Michigan fan, you would love to see this guy stay in place, and maybe a word to him from one of the higher ups that, hey, you could have a real future here if you stick with this thing.
Well, I look at it this way, John. I mean, and I'm not trying to here I say that, but this is exactly what I'm doing. I'm not trying to put too much focus on this season. This is the year, but it is the year. It is the year. I mean, you look at the roster, you look at the level of what Harbaugh has gathered with it. You look at his coaching staff right now and what they bring to the table and what's in sync. And you hear about a recent article about how Jim Harbaugh has taken his classroom and his practice and merged them together, which my son witnessed when he's a coach at Central. Went down to practice. They said they're stopping right in the middle of the practice and they're watching film and up on the big screen and they're combining it. It's a crazy element. That is that's state of the art stuff that Harbaugh's come up with. This is the place for Sherrone to be for one more year. Okay. And then all the fruits of all the labor and all that, Jim's going to promote it. He said those guys are going to be head coaches. He wants them to be head coaches, and they will. And Michigan will get more people because they'll have that thing cooking, and they'll just reload with coaches and reload with great players.
No doubt. Circling back to the issue at hand with Northwestern, I will back you 100% in saying that the details, which are certainly out there if people want to pursue them, about these allegations, are absolutely sickening and disgusting. And I'm with you. Bottom line, the head coach is responsible for what goes on in his program. And I just think it would have been hard for him to know absolutely nothing about this. And if he didn't, well, then there was a lack of communication that it would be disturbing.
Yeah.
I will say this. I hearken back to what the great Bruce Motti said to me early in my tenure as editor of the Wolverine. Bruce said, the longtime sports information director at Michigan, he said, when other programs encounter issues, whether it be internal play, something with the law, something like that, he said, I'm very hesitant to gleefully dump on that program or to say a lot, because
amen.
really in the world's biggest glass house.
Yeah.
And these are they're young guys. Coaches certainly aren't among, they should be wiser, older, etc. But you're going to have issues that come up. There's no question about it in every single program that you go to. And so this is not a situation where we look at it and are dancing on Pat Fitzgerald's grave. As
and who doesn't like? I mean, everybody everybody in the Big Ten likes Northwestern. I don't know what it is about them. They get, even when they were good, and even when they beat teams and got to Indy and upset teams like 54-51. We know that one. Even when all that in 2000, even when all that happened, you just couldn't get a snarl about Northwestern. I don't know. They don't have that in them to get you to hate them. And so, if you're counting about Mate, no one's really going to hate on North. Now, if Ohio State did this, or if Michigan State did this, or this happened at one of those two schools, and Yeah, I mean, absolutely. You and Marty are right on. Yeah, you got to watch out because that, what goes around comes around, and it has come around to Michigan. Let's be real. And so it's just a bad. It's bad for the Big Ten because it's bad PR and it's not. It's a bad reflection on an otherwise good coach. I mean, great guy.
No doubt.